Hey everyone, ready for a deep dive? We're going to dig into something that's honestly kind of fascinating once you get past the surface level.
hmm
We're talking about the impact of a seriously good marketing team, especially for those of you out there running smaller businesses. It's something we see a lot of businesses struggle with, actually.
Absolutely.
And lucky for us, Local Leap Marketing, they put out some seriously insightful articles on this recently.
Oh,
That's what we're diving deep into today. And guys, just so you know, these articles go way beyond the usual marketing 101 stuff.
hmm
We were super impressed, and we think you will be too. They really get into the why behind having a smart marketing strategy, even if you already consider yourself pretty savvy.
Yeah, and honestly, I think what impressed me most was how practical it all was. It's not just theory. They give you actionable advice you can actually use.
Totally. Like, one of the things that really stood out was how much they emphasized that a marketing team isn't some luxury. You know,
Right.
it's about strategic focus
Yeah.
from the get-go.
From day one, exactly.
Yeah. And they had this analogy I really like. They compared it to being the captain of a ship. You can't steer the ship, navigate, and manage the sails all at the same time, can you?
Nope, no way.
No. At some point, you need a crew, right?
Yeah.
People who know those waters.
Absolutely. And what's interesting is that they don't stop at just the analogy. They connect it to a data-driven approach. So it's not just gut feelings, it's about really understanding those currents and tides.
I love that.
We're talking about actual market research here, right?
Okay, yeah.
Like scoping out the competition, finding those industry trends that might have flown under the radar, and then really, really drilling down to define your ideal customer.
Not just who you want to reach, right?
Exactly. It's about who's actually out there ready to hoist your flag, so to speak.
That makes a ton of sense, especially now, right?
Hmm.
I mean, think about it.
Hmm.
Everyone's drowning in content these days. Remember that time you spent like an hour reading about, like, I don't know, robotic vacuum cleaners?
Oh, totally. Happens to me all the time.
You get the point. Local Leap calls this content saturation. It's a real thing, you know?
Yeah, it's overwhelming.
But what I thought was really refreshing was their whole take on content as storytelling.
Oh, yeah. Tell me more about that.
Yeah. So it's not just about getting your message out there. It's about crafting a narrative
Yeah.
that people connect with. A good story.
Mm.
Like, think about a brand like GoPro. They're not just selling cameras, right? They're selling adventure. The thrill of capturing those insane moments.
They're selling a feeling, for
Yeah,
sure.
exactly. A story, an emotion, a whole lifestyle,
And you know what that comes down to? Understanding your audience.
right?
GoPro knows their ideal customer is out there chasing sunsets, conquering mountains. So their content puts you right there in the experience. It taps into that desire to live a life that's a little less ordinary.
Okay, I see what you mean.
And when you can do that well, you're not just selling a product anymore. You're fostering a community. You're building brand loyalty that goes way beyond just one purchase.
It's true. People connect with stories. And when they connect with your story, they're way more likely to get invested in your brand. I'm with you there. But how do you translate those clicks, those likes, those views into customers? Awareness is awesome, don't get me wrong.
Mm.
But sales are what keeps the lights on, right?
Right, got to pay the bills.
Exactly. And one thing that Local Leads stressed was that a successful campaign is a marathon,
Oh, for sure.
not a sprint.
Mm.
It's about consistency.
Hmm.
And they even get into the nitty-gritty of website maintenance,
Oh, okay.
which might sound kind of boring, but it's crucial. Like, for example, they specifically talk about testing all your online forms regularly. Can you imagine losing a potential customer because your contact us button is broken?
Oh, I know, right? The worst.
It seems like such a small thing, but those little things add up.
They make or break the customer experience.
Exactly.
Every single detail matters. It's like Local Leap is saying, it's about sweating the small stuff because there are no small details in the customer journey.
I like that. Sure.
It's about managing that whole funnel, that whole journey, guiding someone from the second they see your brand to the moment they click buy.
And that takes a different strategy at each stage, right?
Oh, absolutely. Like you might start with these big, broad awareness campaigns. Think social media blitzes, guest posts on popular blogs, that kind of thing. Then, as you nurture those leads, you transition to more targeted stuff.
Okay.
Email sequences, webinars, even exclusive content. It's about meeting your audience right where they are and guiding them towards that conversion.
It's almost like you're having a conversation with them, you know?
Exactly. It should feel natural.
Okay, so we've talked about strategy, but what about data? We have to talk about data.
The elephant in the room, right?
Haha, exactly. I know it might not sound as exciting as I don't know, designing a super cool infographic or writing a catchy tagline.
Right, but it's the foundation.
It is.
And Local Leap really hits the nail on the head when they say it's not enough to just track the numbers.
You have to understand what's behind them.
Right. Yes, data without insight is meaningless.
Like, it's not enough to know that people are clicking. You got to know why they're clicking, where they're clicking, and what happens after they click. Are they finding what they're looking for? Are they getting frustrated and bouncing? That's what separates data from actual insights.
Totally. Like, let's say you're noticing a lot of people abandoning their carts on your website. That's a red flag for sure, but it doesn't tell you why they're doing it.
Okay.
Maybe your checkout process is too complicated. Maybe there's something making people hesitate. Data can uncover those pain points so you can actually fix them.
It's like having a backstage pass to how your audience thinks. You can see how they're interacting with your brand, what's working, what's not, and then you can actually optimize for that, right?
Exactly. You can refine and improve every step of the way.
And that brings us back to Local Leap's main point, which is that a marketing team isn't just a cost.
It's an investment.
Exactly.
Well,
And I don't know if you noticed this, but they have that let's talk call to action at the end of one of the articles.
Yeah.
I did see that. A little salesy, but
Maybe a tad, but I think the sentiment is spot on. It's
Yeah.
not about whether you can afford a marketing team. It's about whether you can afford not to have one.
especially now it's more important than ever.
Right. Especially in today's landscape, it's so competitive out there.
Exactly.
And even if you're not ready to bring on a whole agency, the things Local Leap talks about, those principles, pure gold. Absolutely.
Actionable advice you can use no matter what.
And that's what I love about these deep dives. Honestly, we want to empower you guys, the listeners, to actually use this information, whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur or just starting to brainstorm your next big thing.
Everyone can benefit.
So here's a little something to think about as we move on. Think about what you're working on right now, even if it's not business related. How could you use even just one of these marketing principles in your personal life, your hobbies, your everyday interactions, anything?
Interesting. I like that.
It could be anything from approaching a conversation differently to thinking about how you present yourself online. You'd be surprised how these concepts can apply in all sorts of ways.
yeah.
It really is amazing how much of a difference understanding your audience can make, right?
Oh, for sure.
It's like that saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know. But in this case, it's more like it's not just what you're saying, it's who you're saying it to.
You got it.
And I love how they tied that back to data. It's not just about warm and fuzzy feelings. It's
Yeah.
about really using those data points to figure out who your people are, what they care about, and how to reach them.
Exactly. Data-driven empathy, you could say.
Yes. And remember that whole section on segmenting your audience.
Oh, yeah, that was good stuff.
They talked about how data can help you pinpoint all these different groups within your target market, right? People who might be into your product for totally different reasons.
Yeah.
Or people who hang out on different platforms or respond to different messages. It's wild.
It's like having X-ray vision into your customer base. You can tailor your approach to speak directly to their needs.
Totally. They had that example, remember, I think it was a bakery.
Oh, right, yeah.
So they use data and realize they've got these two totally different customer groups. Busy professionals grabbing pastries on their way to work, and then families looking for, like, custom cakes and stuff.
Yeah. And instead of trying to be everything to everyone, they use that data to split their marketing,
Exactly.
Quick online ordering, early morning deals for the professionals. And then for the families, it's all about showcasing those custom cakes, consultations, the whole 9 yards.
Same bakery, same ovens, totally different game plan for each group of customers.
It's brilliant.
It really is. And it just shows how data can help you do more with less.
Work smarter, not harder.
Exactly. Speaking of working smarter, Local Leap really emphasized the importance of a good website.
It's your online storefront these days, right?
Exactly. And it's got to be good.
Oh, for sure. It's not enough to just have a website anymore. It needs to be easy to use, look good, and actually work for you.
It's like, I can't remember the exact quote, but they said something about websites being like living, breathing entities.
Uh-huh. Yeah. A little dramatic, but I get it.
Yeah. It can't just be some static thing you throw up and forget about.
Nope. Needs constant attention, updates, got to keep it fresh.
Exactly. And it's not just about looks either, right?
Right. Although a good-looking website never hurt anybody.
Totally. But it's also about functionality, like how easy it is to navigate and making sure it's actually helping you achieve your goals.
Absolutely. Things like how fast your pages load, Ain't nobody got time for a slow website, am I right?
Oh my gosh, the worst. And mobile optimization. Everyone's on their phones these days.
Oh, absolutely crucial. And those calls to action, those buttons and links that tell people what to do next,
Yeah,
those have got to be crystal clear.
like sign up for our newsletter or get a free quote, that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Don't make people guess what you want them to do.
Make it easy.
I like it. Make it easy. And what I thought was great was that they didn't just say what to do. They actually showed you how.
Yes, step by step. It
Exactly.
was just a bunch of marketing jargon.
Mm.
It was real practical advice.
Love that. And speaking of practical advice, what about that section on SEO?
Oh yeah, SEO. That can feel like a whole other beast, right?
It's such a black box, but they broke it down so well.
They did. I feel like people get so intimidated by SEO, but Local Leap really demystified it.
Totally. They emphasize that it's not about tricking Google or anything like that. It's about creating content that people actually want to read.
And making sure your website is set up in a way that search engines can understand.
Right.
They talked about things like using the right keywords, making sure your page titles and descriptions are optimized, building backlinks, all that good stuff.
Which, at the end of the day, is all about making sure your website actually shows up in search results. Because if you're not on that first page of Google, you might as well not even exist, right?
It's true. It's like trying to hail a cab in a blizzard during rush hour. Good luck with that.
Uh-huh. Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about data, we've talked about websites, but what about the actual content itself?
Ah, yes. The heart and soul of it all.
Because at the end of the day, content is king, right? Or queen.
Content is royalty, for sure.
Right.
And this is where their focus on storytelling really comes into play.
Totally. They really hammered home that idea of crafting a narrative, building those emotional connections with your audience.
It's not just about throwing information at people. It's about making them feel something.
Exactly. And remember how they talked about the buyer's journey
Yeah.
and how your content should meet people where they're at in that journey?
Oh, yeah. That was a good one.
Like, are they just becoming aware of a problem they have? Are they actively considering their options? Are they ready to make a decision?
It's like those choose-your-own-adventure books we used to read as kids. But you're the author, guiding your audience toward that ultimate buy now button.
Uh-huh. I love that analogy. And it all comes down to building trust, right?
Absolutely. Positioning yourself as a helpful guide, not just some faceless company trying to make a quick buck.
It's a delicate dance, but when it's done well, it's magical.
Pure magic. And honestly, that's why having a good marketing team is so crucial.
I was just thinking that. Because to juggle all of this, the data, the website, the content, the strategy, it's a lot.
It's a lot, even for the most seasoned marketers.
It is. And that's why Local Leap suggests either building a strong in-house team or teaming up with an agency that really knows their stuff.
Which is a whole other
It
conversation.
is. But their point was trying to DIY everything yourself might sound tempting, especially when you're starting out. But it can end up costing you more time, money, and headaches in the long run.
Oh, 100%. Time is money, and stress is a productivity killer.
Preach. And it takes you away from actually running your business, which is what you should be focusing on.
Exactly. You've got to know when to delegate and bring in the experts.
Okay, so here's a question for you, dear listener. And this
Yeah.
one's a little more philosophical, I guess. We talk a lot about like strategy and all that, but how much of this marketing stuff boils down to just being interesting?
Ooh, good question.
Like if you strip away all the data and the algorithms, can a marketing campaign really work if it's just like flat out boring?
I think Local Leap would say absolutely not.
Right.
At the end of the day, you got to capture people's attention.
Okay.
And you can't do that by being dull or predictable.
Totally. I remember that whole section they had on creativity and experimentation.
Oh, yeah, that was a good one.
Like it was so refreshing,
Yeah.
Because it's easy to get lost in all the technical stuff, the A/B testing, the optimization.
All the data.
Yes, all the
Yeah.
data. And we forget that marketing is about connecting with actual human beings. And human beings, we're emotional creatures. We like curiosity, we like humor, we like new stuff.
We crave novelty, it's true.
We do.
And that's why it's so important to take risks.
Oh, absolutely.
Try new things, get out of your comfort zone, because even if your website's perfectly optimized and your strategy's on point, if your content's not engaging, it's going nowhere.
It's like that saying, content is king. Right?
Content wears the crown, for sure.
They had that great example. I can't remember it exactly, but it was like, would you rather click on a Facebook ad that says, learn more about our accounting software?
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Or one that's like, is your business drowning in receipts? We can help.
Way more compelling.
Rare.
But much better.
It's the same message, basically, but one is just so much more relatable, you know?
It's true. And maybe even a little funny, which helps.
Humor is your friend.
It's like that saying, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it, right?
Exactly. And sometimes that why needs a little bit of sparkle.
Little razzle-dazzle. Exactly. So, think about your own marketing efforts. Are you playing it too safe? Are you blending in with everyone else?
Or are you standing out? Being bold.
Exactly. You got to show the world what makes you you.
I love that. Okay, well, we've covered a ton of ground today. We talked about data, storytelling, website optimization, the whole shebang.
The ever-changing world of marketing.
It's a lot to keep up with, but Local Leap really did a great job breaking it all down.
They really did. Actionable advice, clear explanations. I'm a fan.
Me too. And, more than anything, I hope this deep dive has inspired you guys to be a little more, I don't know, curious, creative.
A little more daring, maybe.
Yes. Don't be afraid to experiment, because at the end of the day, the best marketing campaigns, they're the ones that really connect with people on an emotional level.
They tell a story, they make you feel something.
Exactly. They make you laugh, they make you think, and ultimately they make you want to take action.
That's the magic formula.
So as you're navigating the wild world of marketing, remember to keep that human element front and center. Because behind every click, every purchase, every loyal customer, there's a real person with their own story.
So true.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive into the world of marketing. We hope you found it insightful, maybe even a little bit fun.
Until next time.
Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep that marketing spark alive.